Hey everybody, welcome back to Winamac Hockey. Today the NHL has given us the protected and unprotected players in the league for the expansion draft. So today we're going to do a mock draft and show you guys who we think Seattle should take to prepare themselves for this upcoming season and also for the future. I am joined by Jake the Snake Armstrong and Matt the Brat Cleveland. Let's hop in, fellas. All right, hey, so let's jump in. We're going to go alphabetical order through the teams, and Jake and Matt are both going to give you guys an idea of who they think Seattle should pick, and then together as a trio, we're going to make the decision and keep track of them in the graphics so you guys can follow along. So let's start. First, we have the Anaheim Ducks. Jake, let's come over to you. Who should Anaheim select? Or who should Seattle select? I'm sorry.
The veteran, Kevin Shattenkirk. $4.25 million for another 2 seasons, 2 goals, 13 assists, 15 points in 55 games. Now, I know he doesn't look like a lot, but it's the intangibles, the leadership. He's been a great player for years. They need him on Seattle.
All right, Matt, who do you think?
I got Danton Heinen. He's a guy who was pretty good for them last year. Had 7 goals and 7 assists for 14 points. He was a -9, but the team wasn't very good. And he's going to be an RFA, so you're going to have to re-sign him, but he's a good young guy.
All right, so I think that Shattenkirk, Jake, you would make a great marketer because you really tried to sell that one hard. Anaheim fans probably like, yes, let's go get rid of him, shed the cap space. But I think if you're Seattle, you got to look a little bit young and maybe get some of them guys down low that are going to help you out. So, Matt, I'm going to go with your pick. We're going to go with Danton Heinen forward from the Anaheim Ducks. He is an RFA, though, but that holds value as well. All right, let's move on to the next team, Arizona. Matt, we'll start with you this time.
I got a dude who broke out a little bit, and Michael Bunting. He had 10 goals and 3 assists for 13 points. He was a -1, and again, he's a UFA, so he's going to need to be re-signed, but he had a pretty good year.
All right, Jake?
My guy is Tyler Pitlick. He's making $1.75 million for 1 more year. He had 6 goals, 5 assists, and 11 points in 38 games played, and he just called me and said that Matt's pick is dust.
All right, well, Jake, you make an enticing argument, and I think that's the guy. I think that's the guy we're going to go with. So the pick is in. We're taking Tyler Pitlick, I hope I pronounced that right, from the Arizona Coyotes. So, Jake, let's come back over to you. Who's next?
From the Boston Bruins, Nick Ritchie. He's an RFA. 15 goals and 11 assists, 26 points last year in 56 games.
All right, interesting. Matt?
I got a defensive defenseman in Connor Clifton. 1 goal, 6 assists for 7 points. He's a +10, and he's only making $1 million for the next 2 years.
All right, that, again, if we're sticking young here, I know Nick Ritchie, he's been able to produce for Boston over there, but we got to pay attention to the cap space. I know people are like, go big or go home, but you do have to play with the cap there. So I think, again, if we look ahead, there's a lot of superstars that potentially could be drafted. So I think we should go with Connor Clifton of the Boston Bruins, a solid defenseman for a really cheap deal. All right, Matt, let's go to you.
All right, I got Drake Caggiula with 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. He was a -6, but you'll need to re-sign him as the UFA.
All right, for Buffalo, correct?
Yes, for Buffalo.
All right, Jake, your guy.
Is Colin Miller. He's making $3.875 million for 1 more year. 4 goals, 8 assists, and 12 points in 48 games played.
That's a pretty hefty contract, if I say so myself.
But you get Colin Miller.
All right. I think we're going to have to go with Drake Caggiula on this one, even though he is a free agent. I think that he brings a lot of grit. He could definitely be like that fourth-line guy that's going to go out there and rough up with some of the other guys on the ice, and I think that's what you're going to need there in Seattle, playing in a Pacific Division with a team like Vegas. So, Jake, next up, who you got?
Carolina, I have Dougie Hamilton. Or wait, no, did I skip? I skipped over Calgary. My apologies. Brett,
Wow.
Brett, cut it out. Brett Ritchie. $900K for one more year. He had 4 goals, 4 assists, and 8 points in 32 games played.
I see you like the Richies over there, Jake.
I know. He was supposed to play with his brother, but you screwed that one up, didn't you?
Hey, my bad. Matt, who you got?
I have the same exact guy.
Oh, okay.
I will let it know that I did not skip over them. I was ready to talk about them.
All right, well, hey, that makes it pretty straightforward. We have Brett Ritchie from Calgary getting drafted to Seattle. All right, Matt, over to you. Carolina, since Jake wanted to skip ahead to them.
The former Minnesota Wild in Nino Niederreiter. He had 20 goals, 14 assists, 34 points. He was a plus 20, and he's making $5.2 million the next year.
All right, Jake.
I picked the current unrestricted free agent, the best free agent of the year, Dougie Happiness Hamilton. 10 goals, 32 assists, 42 points in 55 games played. 10 goals. He's a defender. 10 goals.
I think both of those are super enticing. But man, if you have an opportunity to bring in a guy like Dougie Hamilton as your top defender, I think you need to do it. So if we're Seattle, let's draft Dougie Hamilton, bring him in, pay the man. He's going to be solid for you for years to come. All right, up next, Jake, coming back to you.
Chicago selects Nikita Zadorov in RFA, who scored 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points in 55 games, which means that the Blackhawks officially gave up Artemi Panarin for nothing.
Matt, how about you?
Well, I also have them taking Nikita Zadorov, and I'm kind of glad that he's gone because he didn't really do anything anyways other than being the big guy in the middle there, just blocking everything.
Dom said he wanted that gritty team, so Nikita Zadorov is the kind of guy who'll go out and take a head off for you.
Hey,
He's a
that's
gritty
true.
team, and there's a guy who sits in the corner.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna draft Nikita Zadorov, get his rights, even if Seattle ends up getting picks for compensation because he's an RFA. Hey, but yeah, as a Hawks fan, it's hard to see Panarin go for Saad and Saad go for Zadorov and Zadorov get drafted. So, nice job, Bowman. Moving on, Matt, over to you. I believe we're at Colorado.
Yes. Joonas Donskoi, 17 goals, 14 assists for 31 points. He is a plus 14 from last season, making $3.9 million.
Jake.
I picked Brandon Saad because, again, he's a pretty good free agent. I didn't go with Landeskog because that's going to be steep. I don't think that they should just throw out all their money right away. But Brandon Saad, he's a UFA. They could re-sign him. 15 goals, 9 assists, 24 points in 44 games played.
Yeah, so, you got some 2 really good forwards there, and both Donskoi and Brandon Saad. I think with Donskoi being at $3.9 million, I think Saad's going to be asking for like 6, roughly. He was making 5, so he's probably going to ask for a little bit of a raise. So I think we'll go with Donskoi here. I think either way, though, those would be 2 solid picks. So, drafting from Colorado, I think you're going to get a good player. All right, Jake, let's come over to you and continue here.
From the Columbus Blue Jackets, Diabetes Domi, Max Domi, $5.3 million for one more season, 9 goals, 15 assists, and 24 points in 54 games played. He was the top-line center for Columbus last year. How do you not take a chance on that? That's not a bad contract.
He was a good player. Matt, what do you think?
Okay, hear me out. I got Kevin Stenlund. Yeah, he only had 5 goals and 5 assists for 10 points, and he was a -9, making $1 million. But he is one of your grit grinders, so I know he'll fit your team.
Hey, so I do like that, especially keep an eye on the salary cap. But I think Jake, I think you're right. I think you got to take a chance on a guy like Domi, who has been a good player in the past. He came over, did not fit well in Tortorella's system. So we're taking Max Domi if we're the Seattle Kraken. All right. Next is Dallas, right?
Yes.
All right. Matt, I think we're to you, right?
Yeah, I got Joel
All right.
Hanley, who had 0 goals, 8 assists for 8 points. He was a +6, and he's only making $750K, so pretty cheap guy.
Not bad. Jake, what about you?
I picked Jamie Oleksiak, formerly known as the Big Rig, before he got stomped by Pat Maroon in the finals and lost his nickname. He's a UFA, 6 goals, 8 assists, and 14 points in 56 games played.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list here, and I think that you need another good defenseman, and Oleksiak. So I think that's who Seattle's going to draft here. I think that's who they're going to take from Dallas.
And his last
All right.
contract was only $2 million, so you could get him on a nice cheap deal again.
That is true. That is true. All right, Jake, who you got for Detroit?
From the Detroit Red Wings, at forward, Vladislav Namestnikov, making $2 million for one more season. He had 8 goals, 9 assists, and 17 points in 53 games played.
Pretty good, Matt.
I have Troy Stecher, who had 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points. He was a minus 13, which isn't good, but the team was trash, and making $1.7 million.
Okay, so either way, you guys are sticking with a low cap guy. Jake, I think we're going to go with you and getting Namestnikov here. I think he's going to be a great depth forward for Seattle and not making too much money. So, Matt, let's come over to you.
All right. I got Kris Russell from Edmonton. 0 goals, 9 assists for 9 points. He was a plus or minus 0, which is pretty good for that defense. And then making $1.2 million for this year.
Jake.
Great minds think alike. I also picked Kris Russell.
All right, well, hey, no need for debate there. We're in agreement. We're taking Kris Russell from the Edmonton Oilers. Jake, let's come over to you. Who do you have next?
From the Florida Panthers, Frank Vatrano, $2.5 million for one more season. He had 18 goals and 8 assists, 26 points in 56 games. That goal number is pretty good for him. Like, he's still pretty young. He can put up some numbers for Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, how about you?
I also have Frank Vatrano. Big dude. I think he's going to be good for us.
All right, hey, well, we are in agreement there. We're taking Frank Vatrano from the Florida Panthers. All right, I forget who is supposed to start here, Matt or Jake, whoever it is, take it away.
He's me. And I go from LA, the next Marc-Andre Fleury pick, Jonathan Quick, who had a 2.86 goal against average and an 8.98 save percentage. He is making $5.8 million, which is kind of steep, but I believe in him.
Jake, how about you?
I picked Andreas Athanasiou. He's an RFA, but he had 10 goals, 13 assists for 23 points in 47 games, and he is still super young. He could still become a top 6 player for them.
Yeah. Man, Matt, very enticing with Jonathan Quick. I think he could definitely get a revamp over there in Seattle.
Until he breaks his hip.
Hey, just a second.
Hey, Fleury just won a Vezina at like 37 years old, so.
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Hey, so,
Hey.
they might take him?
36 is new 25.
Matt, I love the enthusiasm, but I think we're going to go with Jake's pick. I'm going to butcher the name, but you guys all know who we're picking. He is an RFA, so even if they don't bring him back, you could get some picks for compensation there. So, all right, who's up next, fellas?
Minnesota selects Capo Kakinen, $750K for one more season. He had a 2.88 goals against average and a .902 save percentage. Pretty much put the team on his back and carried them into the playoffs.
I discovered this.
Yep, all right, so it looks like we're in agreement there. And honestly, is this the steal of the draft? Low-key, guys?
Yeah. I didn't even realize that they didn't protect him until Matt, as he so proudly said. He was looking at the list and said, hey, they left this guy available. Why, Minnesota? Cam Talbot's good, but he's not your future.
It's true. That is
He
true.
will prove them wrong in Seattle.
I would be surprised if they picked anyone else besides Kakinen over there in
Yeah,
Minnesota.
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. All right, Matt, let's come over to you. I think we're at Montreal, correct?
Yes, sir. And I have the 2015 runner-up with the Lightning player in Jonathan Drouin, who didn't play much this year, but he had 2 goals and 21 assists for 23 points, so -8, and he's making $5.5 million.
All right.
I also picked Jonathan Drouin, who is a bit of a risky pick because he decided to go into his feelings and miss out on the playoffs, even though his team went on a fairy tale run. But yeah, Jonathan Drouin.
Man, imagine if they did have him. That's a piece that could have been pretty crucial for them. He is making, what, $5.5 million? Is that correct?
Yes,
Sir.
for 2 more seasons.
All right, so it is a little bit of a hefty contract, but we think it's going to work, and I agree with you guys. I think that's going to be a piece that Seattle can really utilize. All right, Jake, who's up next?
From the Nashville Predators, Colton Sissons, making $2.9 million for 5 more seasons. I think he's 27, so you get him until he's about 32. He got 8 goals, 7 assists, and 15 points in 54 games played. So he's a solid top 9 guy for the next 5 years. I think it's a safe bet.
All right, Matt, let's come over to you.
I got the 29-year-old winger in Calle, who had 13 goals and 15 assists for 28 points. He was a plus 13, and he's only making $2 million.
I think both of those picks would be safe for Seattle to make. I think both those guys would be make a lot of sense, add some depth, and be productive for the contracts that they have. But I think, Matt, we're gonna go with your pick. I'm looking over here at the roster, and I think Yanrock. How do you pronounce that again?
Calle Yarncroke.
All right. Well, that's what we're going.
You only
with.
want to pick him so you get to say his name over and over again. Seattle fans are going to enjoy that.
I want that jersey, dude.
And apologies if we are mispronouncing names. We are American. Classic. All right. Whoever's next, take it away.
It
I
is
believe
me.
it's Matt.
With New Jersey, I got Will Butcher, who had 1 goal, 10 assists for 11 points. He was a -3, and he's making $3.7 million.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Devils have no one, so I also picked Will Butcher, who's not a great pick for that cap hit, but he's the best they have.
Hey, I mean, sometimes you're going to get that, and I think you take the best player available. A little bit of a cap hit there for the production that he has, but hey, he's going to be a depth defender, and I think that could be useful, especially maybe he takes a step up in his game. You never know. All right, Jake.
From the New York Islanders, I picked Josh Bailey. He was making $5 million for the next 3 seasons. He had 8 goals and 27 assists for 35 points in 54 games this year. He could be, honestly, a top-line forward for you.
All right, Matt, thoughts?
I have Richard Panik, who had 4 goals for 9 assists and 13 points. Yes, he was a -9, which isn't great. He also bounced around a lot. And he's making $1.3 million, technically, even though really it's 2.7, but there's a lot
because
of retained
Detroit retained some in that trade.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I definitely am interested in Josh Bailey. I think that would be a good pick. But again, keep an eye on the cap space here. I think that we need to go a little bit cheaper. So I think Richard Panik's the guy. I think for $1.3 million, you're going to get his worth there. All
I
right.
hope he kept his bags packed because he's just getting tossed around.
It is. It's
Probably
been
lives in
bad.
hotels. You just can't buy a house.
All right, Matt, let's come over to you.
I am going to come clean and say this is kind of a throwaway. Keith Kincaid from the New York Rangers. He had a 2.59 goal against average and an 8.98 save percentage. He's only making $225K, but it's really just the third goalie for me.
Mm-hmm. Jake.
I also picked a third goalie here in Keith Kincaid, quite possibly for the reason that his Instagram handle is Blockade, which is fantastic. And that's why he gets my pick. That reason alone.
His stats probably don't prove it, though.
Hey, honestly, guys, I don't think that's a bad pick, and here's why. He's going to be a great, I wouldn't say great, but he's going to be a good depth goalie if someone gets injured. He can come up and he can play, and I think he's proved that. I don't think he's going to be that starting goalie, but, he can come in when you need him to. So I think that's a pretty solid pick if you're Seattle. All right, Jake.
All right, so we are moving on to the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ottawa? I think we're at Ottawa.
Oh, yeah, my list is a bit out of order here.
Jump over the freaking
This
capital.
second time, Jake.
Oh, yeah, Ottawa is forgettable. Sorry.
Leaping over all the Canadian teams. First Calgary, now Ottawa. What are you on right now?
Evgeny Dadonov, $5 million for 2 more seasons, 13 goals, 7 assists, 20 points in 55 games. Evgeny Dadonov.
All right, Matt, what do you think?
How about a Chris Tierney? He had 6 goals and 13 assists for 19 points. Yes, he was a -12, but the team is trash. And he's making $3.5 million.
All right, so I think for the value here, you give me those two for $1.5 million more. I think if I'm Seattle, I'm willing to pay that for a guy like Dadonov, and I think that's a great pick. I think honestly, if they pick someone other than him, it would only be for cap reasons.
With the right amount of ice time, which I think he'll get in Seattle, Dadonov could really go off.
Mm-hmm. He was really good back when he played with the Panthers and stuff. So, all right, Matt.
All right, I got the second pick in the 2007 draft behind Patrick Kane, James Van Riemsdyk, 17 goals to 26 assists for 43 points last year. He was a +2, and he is making $7 million a year.
Okay. A little bit of cap hit there. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I'm going with the most underrated player available in the entire draft, Shayne Gostisbehere. $4.5 million. You get him locked up for 2 more seasons, 9 goals and 11 assists, 20 points in 41 games played. That's half a regular season. That means if he plays a full season, you can adjust that. That's 18 goals in 1 season from a defender.
Not bad. So, peeking over at the roster, we do need another pretty solid defender. So that's who we're going to pick. We're going to take Gostisbehere from Philadelphia. So we're on Pittsburgh.
All right, so my pick from Pittsburgh on defense, Cody Cici, a UFA, 4 goals, 13 assists, 17 points in 53 games played.
Okay. Younger guy. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Well, we match on this one because I also picked Cody Cici.
Hey. Well, no brainer then, guys. Let's go. We're taking defenseman Cody Cici from the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right, Matt, let's come over to you. Who's next?
All right, don't laugh at the stat line, but I got from the San Jose Sharks, Christian Joonas, who had 0 goals, 1 assist for 1 point. He was a -4, and he is an RFA.
Jake, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I had forward Ryan Donato, an RFA, 6 goals, 14 assists, 20 points, 50 games played, and probably the brightest future out of every pick I had.
Jake, I think we're going to go with your pick. Matt, I think that was a throwaway pick. Am I right there?
Yeah, I think you got some talent.
It was a tight race.
All right. So, yeah, from San Jose, we are taking... I just blanked on his name. Jake?
Ryan Donato.
Donato. Yes, that guy. I will remember your name, I promise, at some point in time. All right. Next, Jake, back to you.
From the St. Louis Blues, forward Vladimir Tarasenko, $7.5 million for 2 more seasons, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points in 24 games, and if Seattle takes him, I get to cry myself to sleep.
Matt, thoughts?
Well, we're guaranteeing him a better team doctor, so I'm also sending Vladimir Tarasenko over to Seattle.
They don't even know what healthcare is in Seattle.
I don't know. I have no information on that argument whatsoever, but it seems like Tarasenko is packing his bags and going over to the Seattle Kraken, so that's exciting if you're a Seattle fan, if they end up taking Vlad Tarasenko. So, all right, Matt, next team.
I got a prospect defenseman from Tampa Bay in Cal Foote, who had 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points in 35 games. He was a +9, and he's an RFA, so you need to pay him.
All right. Jake, who do you got from Tampa?
From the Tampa Bay Lightning, forward Ross Colton, who made his NHL debut this year. He's an RFA, but he put up 9 goals and 3 assists, 12 points in 30 games. And he has a Stanley Cup winning goal.
All right. Well, I'm looking at the roster over here, and I think we're going to pick Colton from Tampa Bay, the RFA. And, yeah, I think that was a pretty solid argument there. There's definitely talent from Tampa, so depending on where you're at in the cap space, if you're Seattle, you can take some really good players, depending on where you're at. All right. Next up, who we got?
From Toronto, forward Alex Kerfoot, $3.5 million for 2 more seasons. He had 8 goals, 15 assists in 23 games played, or in 23 points in 56 games played. Sorry.
All right, Matt, thoughts?
I also have the former Colorado player in Alexander Kerfoot.
All right. Well, the pick is in. We're taking Kerfoot from Toronto. Pack your bags. Wow.
So Matt wanted to pick, who was it, Cal Foote and Alex Kerfoot.
I just want the
interesting. Jeez. Oh man. Well, let's move on. Jake, who we got next?
Vancouver. I think it's pretty obvious. Braden Holtby, $4.3 million for 1 more season. He was great with the Capitals. Pretty much won them a Stanley Cup. This past season he struggled. He had a 3.67 goals against and a .889 save percentage, but I think me and Seattle are both willing to blame that entirely on the Vancouver Canucks defense.
And maybe Jim Benning over there. Matt, what do you think?
Sucks.
I have them taking one of those defenders and Travis Hamonic. I guess with Jake's talk, it's probably not going to do much for them. But he has 3 goals for 7 assists and 10 points. And he was a -3. And he's a U of A, so you have to pay him. But probably not much.
Okay, well, we do need a goalie, and I think we've been waiting for this moment. I think we all kind of knew Holtby was lurking down there in Vancouver. So we're going to take Braden Holtby, who hopefully can come back to be the goalie he was in the Stanley Cup in 2018. All right, I believe we're on to Winnipeg, right?
No.
Washington. How do you forget the U.S. Capitol, Dom?
I forgot the Capitals, the team that I was literally just talking about with Braden Holtby, so...
Casual stuff.
All right, anyways, who we got here?
Matt.
All right.
So, right here, I got the man who's going to be their captain pretty much day one, if they can sign him, in Alexander Ovechkin. He had 24 goals, 18 assists, 42 points, and he was a -7, which wasn't great. And of course, you need to pay him.
Okay, Jake, thoughts?
If you pick Ovechkin, obviously, and then you give him $9 million and a lifetime supply of vodka, and he will be the happiest player in that entire franchise history.
Hey, he's also getting a PhD, so he is all over the news in the NHL right now. That guy's an absolute legend.
He's everywhere.
Undoubtedly, I think the fact that Washington left him unprotected is very mind-boggling to me, even though he is a free agent. I don't know how you
disrespect.
I don't know how you even let him. If you're Seattle, you make the cap space for Ovechkin. Make it happen, Seattle. Boom. Matt, I agree. Captain of the Seattle Kraken, Alexander Ovechkin. All right, moving on to the team that I was referring to before this, Winnipeg.
Defender, Dylan DeMello. He's making $3 million for 3 more seasons. 0 goals, 9 assists, 9 points in 56 games. But he was a +10, so don't let that goose egg on the offensive side fool you. He was a +10.
Not bad at all, I would say. Matt, what do you think?
I got a young 24-year-old center. I really don't know why they didn't protect him. And Mason Appleton, who had 12 goals, 13 assists for 25 points. He was a +11, and he's only making $900K. A really big steal.
I think that is a no-brainer. I think you got to go with that guy. Making $900K, yeah, I think you definitely bring that guy in from Winnipeg. And, yeah. So, hey, we did it, guys. If we're drafting for Seattle, this is what our roster looks like right here. We got it all put together. You can see that we did our best to make the cap work. And I think if you're the GM, there's probably some things that you could switch up. So let us know in the comments below what you guys think of our roster. What would you change? Do you think that we made some really stupid decisions? Because some people have commented in previous videos saying we know nothing about hockey. So let us know if we know nothing about hockey. Let us know what you guys think. And as always, be sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. This is a lot of fun. We enjoy talking hockey with everyone. We enjoy engaging with the community. So let's get talking about hockey, fellas. Thank you for tuning into this video. And we'll see you next time on Winnipeg Attack Hockey.